finally got a game where we got a little time here. Not midnight here.
You are a day game coach.
I love day games.
20-5 is Eck's record in day games.
It's a good stat.
It's because you don't have to eat. You know, it's not as long of a thing for you. Where's the microphone? Oh, there you go. Sean, will you take this? All right, that is a 4-0 start just at home. 4-0 start at home, first time since 1962. We did outgain Utah State 407 to 306, which is a lot. It's the first time we scored offense, defense, special teams since October 22nd, 2016. That was against UNM. Those were 3 touchdowns. This is 2 touchdowns and safety, but it's still all 3 phases. With that, Coach, take her away.
You know, I thought it was a really good win. I thought all 3 phases did a lot of good things in the game. And, I got a lot of respect for that quarterback. So to sack him 3 times and pick him off. He had 2 interceptions all year. Hold him 13 for 23. I thought was outstanding. What a job by our special teams unit. Getting that DJ McKinney. He's a ball player. He's a gamer. It's our first time. He's been back there in college for a punt return. He takes it to the house, the first one. And then I love the way we finished the game, running the ball. There's a time in the third quarter where we only had about 100 rushing yards, but that's how you finish games when you have a lead. You pound on them a little bit, and I thought Lobstein did a great job. Lobstein did a great job coming in and running the rock and running hard, as well as the backs. We were probably in 2 tight ends more than we had been all year this year, and those guys did a good job. They were getting a little gassed at the end. I thought Daniel Hughes punted well, and we set up the safety by pinning them down at the 1-yard line. So a lot to be proud of, a lot to build on. Incredible accomplishment and legacy for our seniors to say they're 4-0 since the first time since '62, and we got to keep building and keep going. We got a big game now against UNLV at a bye this week. That maybe it was not a game that people thought would be a big game coming into the year, but they're 6-1 and we're 5-3. That becomes a pretty big football game.
I know you said earlier in the week that you were kind of concerned about Barnes and what he can do, throwing it and running and all that. What was the plan for Barnes, and how did you guys execute that today?
We tried to mix up looks on him, and we played a lot of different zones. We pressured quite a bit, wanted to be aggressive, mixed in some man. I thought Spence did a good job of mixing it up. We gave up a few explosive plays that we got to clean up. The 53-yard pass and the 64-yard run. So you look at that, they had 2 plays that got 110 yards, and then the other 47 probably got 190. So we got to keep cleaning, some things up there with their execution. But I thought they played very well.
And it's not like you yourself lean into the obvious subplot this week and all that, but this obviously is a cathartic win for UNM fans and all that. How important was it to just get them that win, get them that sense of catharsis?
Yeah, it's we kind of got dumped, you could say. Again, you want to make sure that the next time you see that person who dumped you, you don't look like all disheveled and look like a mess and stuff. And so they're thinking, yeah, geez, that was the best thing I ever did. Was get the fuck out of there. So I think we did a good job of showing that wasn't the case today. We're looking pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We're not listening. Thanks, Jason.
Please bleep that. Thank you.
Okay.
Coach, offensively today.
This isn't live though, so there's no problem. There's no FCC violation.
Coach, offensively today, especially in that first half, you guys came out. What was really clicking in that first half?
I thought we had a really good plan. I credit Coach Slice as well. We thought 12 personnel was a little bit of a weakness for them. We had some really good things. We had Kate Keith 2 completions, which really was, I think, taking advantage of how they lined up, being unbalanced, motioning to get out of unbalance, and we had them on leverage. And we had twice where really they didn't cover Kate in the middle of the field, and I thought that was really a scheme-based thing that was excellent by Coach Slice to come up with. We just kept them off balance and played really well and executed our plan fairly nicely.
And in the second half, a little bit of a dip in offensive production, but your defense stayed strong. You guys really bowed up. What's your thoughts on the defensive performance in the second half?
I thought defense was awesome to continue to do that. They were pretty conservative. There was a few times where I thought they should have went for it and they punted, which surprised me. Whatever they want to do. But I was a little disappointed with our offense, and I think that's a growth area there. And we got to get better at fighting human nature, because sometimes you have a big, what was the score at halftime? You're up by 19 at halftime. Human nature sometimes is to relax. You got to keep fighting human nature, because we're probably probably relaxed a little bit on offense, and then I thought our urgency picked up in the last couple of series. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I told the team that. I said, hey, we're last in the nation in turnover margin, and we found a way to be 4-3. You know, a lot of times, most of the teams who were in the bottom 10 in turnover margin were awful. So I said that. I kind of looked at the glass half full, and I said, well, what if these last 5 games we won the turnover margin? You know, how good we can be, and that was great to see us. CJ McBean did such a great job starting as a freshman to have that interception, and then offense did a great job protecting the football.
And then we discovered number 88 today. I think that was a big surprise for a lot of people. But just talk about the influence Kate had.
Yeah, he made some good plays. I mean, he has great hands. I mean, he had a great catch against, I don't know if it was Idaho State or New Mexico State earlier this year. I mean, he's got great hands. He's got to keep growing as a blocker. There's times where he hasn't been physical enough, and we got to keep getting better and developing that. But we thought right away in the spring he was a weapon with his hands, and really good design. And we used multiple tight ends quite a bit today.
Congratulations, Coach. $1 million question. When do you plan on bringing out the turquoise jerseys again?
I haven't really thought about it, Roger. I don't know.
Coach, you talked about it, your aggressiveness going forward on your half of the field, and then the fake punt. They didn't, when they had opportunities at midfield. For your team, is it just now that they're into that mindset that they're confident to execute these plays, these high tension plays, so to speak?
Yeah, I think you want, I think if you're doing a good job in coaching, your team should have, a reflection of your personality and how you approach things. And again, we want to be an aggressive team. I want to be a team that's not afraid about, not afraid of making mistakes. And, I think that was a time, 4th and 1, like we faked the punt. I just thought we had to keep them off balance a little bit. It was a go situation. Our analytics said it was a go situation. I didn't necessarily feel great about lining up because they had done a pretty good job on 3rd down against us. And we call that play sometimes with a check, but I had confidence we needed 1 yard. I just, they said even if they have somebody on day, which I knew the most they'd have was 1 guy on it. I said it's so tough to make a one-on-one tackle on a back there in a surprising situation. He did a great job making the guy miss and getting the 1st down, which, I think really put them in a huge time pinch. I wouldn't say that like clinched the game, but it made it really hard. Where right at that point with a 13-point lead, if you punt it to them and they come down and score quick, it could be a different game. So I wanted to try to not let it get to a one-possession game.
And now you start talking about the whole game. Now that you're within 1 game, or is this just still next game?
Well, we can get bowl eligible the next game, so I think that becomes something. And we hung up a thing in the locker. And I don't know who this guy was, but I looked for motivation anywhere we could find it. But someone picked our schedule before the year and put it on the internet and had us 1-11. Had us beating Idaho State and losing everybody else. We put that, all the guys' lockers this summer. So we got a chance to, the first day of November, gain bowl eligibility. Now it's gonna be a challenge, but that's a very good, UNLV team, 6-1. But I don't think now that a win gets us there, I don't think it's. We're not looking ahead. We got to take care of our business and have great preparation this week. They'll probably be a little fresher because they had a bye today. But we got to go play really well there in Vegas next week. That game, like I said, has become a big game.
Was Jackson safety enough to kind of get you out of coach mode, more into like kind of proud dad mode? I mean, what was your reaction out
I was
there?
proud. First time he scored, I gave him a hard time one year in the spring game at Idaho. He had like a pick 6 in the spring game, but he's never scored in a real game, so it's good to see him put some points on the board.
Obviously, I mean, we've seen it out of him, and we felt like we really saw that in terms of James just like running tough and all that. I mean, when did you guys kind of come to the conscious decision like, look, we need to figure out a way to get him in games more?
Yeah, I think we had the idea of using him as soon as Michigan, but then I thought he really did a nice job in that Boise game when he got his opportunities. And I said, hey, we got to make sure we had plays up every week. They just didn't always get called. I think we made it a point today. We got to get these plays called because he runs his tail off, man. Averaging 7 yards a carry, and obviously the scouting report is out on him that we're going to run it a lot. When he's in there, he's doing a tremendous job.
And Coach, when it was rivalry week a few weeks ago now, you talked about the importance of just winning that big game for the fan base, for the program, for everything. I know Sean touched on it earlier. They made the announcements like around the 20,000 mark.
20,090.
The fans were clamoring for a win against the former head coach. with this win, would you like to see a spike in attendance the next home game in a couple weeks
I
here?
would. Obviously, we had an away game, and that's what happened last time. We had a good crowd as we went on the road and lost a couple games. So I think we have to play next week to do our part. But I do think it's a shame. It's a shame that we didn't get a few more people in there today because it's a good product. And you can bring 2 kids for free. I have kids. I know it's expensive to take the kids to the movies and stuff. If you want to do that, so I think it's a pretty good entertainment value. So I encourage our fans to come out. I think this is a heck of a product. The way our teams compete and playing for this, representing the state, representing the city.
Going into the game, it might have seemed like Utah State having it as your quarterback, given Barnes' experience level, 2 interceptions this season to Jack's 8. How disciplined, how smart was Jack today in this game?
I think Jack played just the way we want him to play. Again, I don't think we're. And our offense has really never been about, hey, the quarterback is, the flashing lights and the star. It's about doing his job and getting the ball distributed to other guys and being a leader and running the show and making great decisions. I think today was an ideal game of that. 17 for 22, 1 touchdown. Didn't take any sacks. Had a couple nice scrambles. I think he played very, very well. So that was good to see. And hat tip to Jack because I would say he outplayed Barnes. And I think Barnes is a good quarterback.
Coach, were you surprised at how dominant your defense was? Because this is an offense that was, 400 yards total offense last week. And do you feel like this is the most balanced in the team league?
Yeah, I thought we played very well. I wouldn't say I was surprised. I thought we would have had a huge advantage to get these guys in the third downs. It ended up being 4 of 10 on third downs against us, which is better than their season average, like about 29% coming in. But I thought we played well against these guys, so I wouldn't say I was surprised. But I do think I was probably impressed by our defense, how well we did against Lobos.
You said throughout the season you were so looking for that complete game all around all three phases. Do you feel like today was where the objective was to elaborate on all three phases?
Yeah, I think we were pretty damn close today. I think our defense, outside of a couple plays, was right there. I thought offensively we lulled a little bit in the third quarter. I got to watch the film on that and see what positions we're putting guys in. But special teams did a nice job. We took the sun was pretty bright today, so we took a shot at that little blue kick early in the game. They didn't feel it well. We got what we wanted. We probably just kicked it a little too far, so it bounced all the way into the end zone. But I thought all 3 phases. I thought this was probably our most complete game in all 3 phases, and I thought we fed off of each other, which is what you want to do. I told the team that week. I told our travel squad on Thursday. I said I think that's the nature of man has always wanted to do things that are hard. Whether whoever looked at like a mountain one time and just said, "Hey, I want to climb it," or you want to run faster than anyone has or anything. So I do think that to me that's motivational. Trying to do things as a team that we haven't done in a while, and I think our next one is we had a chance to get to 6 wins. For the first time since 2016 and get to a bowl game. So I definitely think those are motivating things, whether it's being the Power 14 for the first time or selling out a stadium for the first time or being 4-0 at home. That same year they went 5-0 at home, I read, didn't I? Not as much of an accomplishment next one, but still looking to be 5-0 at home.
I think CJ's pick was like the first true takeaway in 14 consecutive quarters or something like that.
Quarters.
Yeah, 14 quarters.
Seems like years.
We've talked a little bit about him. How did you just kind of see him develop? Grow into his role over the last couple
I'm proud of him, and I thought he was a kid. We signed him at Idaho, and I thought he was a steal. I thought he was a guy who, and he even had a little doubts. I think some of his coaches were saying man, you shouldn't sign with the FCS school, and there was a while where I don't know if I want to sign on the December signing day, and we ended up talking him into it. And then when we came here, he got out of it to come here. But I always thought he had a bright ceiling. He's a good athlete, but he's sharp. He's a mature guy. He's got a real good demeanor. He doesn't get down on himself when he makes mistakes, which sometimes young guys do. And I think he's just continued to get better as the year has gone on. And been awesome to see because obviously he really got thrust into the lineup. Brawley got hurt, but now I think he's playing well enough that even when Brawley's back, we'll have to find a way to keep him involved.
And then obviously Richard wasn't to go today and all that. Are you expecting him to try and get back this week? And what's it kind of look like?
I hope so, but he's not as close as we'd like to. I would say I'm probably very optimistic that after the bye he'd be back. Hopefully we can get him back, but I think other guys are doing a good job stepping up. I'm really proud of Isaiah Silliman. He did play a lot early in the year, and I think he was a guy who didn't pout or feel sorry for himself. Just kept working, practicing hard, and now he's playing very well the last couple of weeks.
And then Lawrence was questionable and all that. What was he doing with?
He just tweaked his ankle in practice on Tuesday. We did a better job practicing, staying off the ground. But he didn't finish practice Tuesday. He didn't practice Wednesday, but he came back Thursday, Friday.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
You got one there, Ruby, in the back?
Oh, all right, yeah, really quick.
First of all, congrats on being undefeated at home. You told me this 2 weeks ago, so congrats. What's your message to Lobo fans? I think this is one of the greatest gifts you could have given them, is beating Bronco at home. At one point, the crowd was chanting, "Thank you."
Well, I just think this is a team that will make you proud. And we talked about it this week. This game was kind of for representing Albuquerque and everything it's about. And we all chose to be here. All the players, all the coaches. And, maybe Albuquerque isn't for everybody, but we love it. We're proud of it, and hopefully more and more people want to come out and support us and be a part of what we're building here. It's going to be pretty special.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Jason.